All right, guys, let's be real. Email freebies and random website banners are not cutting it anymore. Growing your email list and your bank account as a small business owner is more competitive than ever. People are not handing over their email or their hard-earned cash for something that doesn't feel valuable to them. And that's why you need Badao. And you can get 25% off your subscription with the code Elizabeth. So if you haven't heard of it yet, Badao is the ultimate software for supercharging your email list building efforts and making sure your website visitors see the right message at the right time. Badao works with all the best email marketing platforms like Flowdesk, ActiveCampaign, and Kit, you name it. And it was acquired and rebranded by Showit about 6 months ago, and I have been obsessed ever since. And honestly, if it's from Showit, you know it's going to be amazing. So here's a few ways I've been using Badao in my business so you get the picture. So showing a pop-up for a freebie only on my blog posts that are geared towards designers, displaying a coupon code to visitors right as they're leaving my site, promoting sales with the targeted pop-up for people coming from specific websites, and one of my new favorites, a feature of adding social proof pop-ups in the corner of a browser to show recent and real-time purchases or email signups. Badao makes it ridiculously easy to connect with your audience in a way that feels both personal and strategic. And seriously, I've had my mind blown by all the features like targeting new visitors differently than returning ones or popping up an offer after someone's browsed a certain number of pages. So here's the best part. Badao is offering 25% off for a limited time with the code Elizabeth. So this is the best deal you will find, and I'm so excited to share it with you because I know this will transform your business sales like it has mine. Head to elizabethmccravey.com/Badao, that's BDOW, to snag this 25% off deal. Plus, you'll find a free Badao template that I designed to help you get started. So again, save 25% with the code Elizabeth. And now, let's dive into today's episode. The new year means it's a great time to make some small tweaks to your existing website. So in this quick episode, I'm going to share a few things for you to do to your website for the new year to keep things up to date and fresh, both from an SEO perspective and also like an attracting new clients and customer perspective and just making sure you're running your business well. These are my tips as a website designer to you. Now let's get to the episode. Hey guys, I'm Elizabeth McCravey, an online educator for entrepreneurs, website designer, wife, boy mom, and your host for the Breakthrough Brand podcast, the show that's all about pulling back the curtain on how to actually build a successful business. I don't skim the surface around here. If you want to dive deep into the nitty-gritty details of what it takes to run a sustainable business that fits your unique lifestyle while standing out in a crowd, then you are in the right place. I created a multiple six-figure-a-year business in my early 20s, and now in my 30s, I'm still running that successful multiple six-figure-a-year business on just part-time hours now as a working mom. I'm here to share everything I've learned and everything I'm still learning because I believe that the keys to building a thriving business should never be a secret. Here you'll find episodes that are actionable, direct, and fun, like friends chatting business over coffee, and a fresh, honest take on the reality of being an entrepreneur. If you're ready to master online marketing, website design, personal branding, mindset, time management as a busy parent, scalable and passive income, and business strategy, then this is the podcast for you. It's time to build your breakthrough brand. Let's do this. All right, so these 3 things that I'm going to recommend you do to kick off the year, it's going to take you less than 5 minutes, okay? This is seriously like quick stuff, go through real fast, and by the time you're done listening to the episode, you'll be ready to go, and then you can be done with it, okay? So our very first one, and this is the fastest of all of them, update the copyright in your footer on your website. So if you have that fun little copyright C, you guys know what I'm talking about, the C in the circle in your website's footer, you likely have last year's date on it. So you'll want to update it to the current year now and make sure the starting year of when you started your business is included too. That's the correct way to do a copyright. So yours right now may look something like copyright C, right? 2015 through 2024. And you want to change that last number to be 2025 now. Also, just an FYI, this is something I've realized a lot of people don't know, but you have automatic rights to the content you create on your website. So yes, you can add this little C and the year and all that without filing any governor paperwork or stuff like that. It's literally your right. So if you've thought like, oh, I see that on some people's website, but they must have done something special, that's not for me because I haven't done that special thing. You can do it. Just do it yourself. Okay. So to get that little C, you can Google copyright C and find an icon there that you can copy and paste into your website with ease. You can also go to the show notes for this episode. I have a link in it to where you can get the full show notes on my blog, and I have a C there for you to be able to copy and paste onto your site. Okay. So why update this? Why have the current year? Why does it matter? Updating it communicates to viewers that you actually update your website. Okay. People notice this shockingly more than you think, especially if the year is way out of date. So right at the beginning of the year, as you're listening to this episode, it matters a lot less. Okay. So like no one's going to be like, oh my gosh, it's a few days into 2025 and it still says 2024. But let's say it gets to be a June of 2025 and your footer still says 2024. People will think you just aren't updating stuff and perhaps be less trusting of purchasing from you. This is especially important as online businesses, like I know so many of you are. I know for me, so many people buy on my website often without ever speaking to me or contacting me first. And so this little change shows those people who are visiting my website as cold traffic, trying to make a buying decision that, hey, this site is up to date. It's a trustworthy place. I keep things updated and you can trust purchasing here. So on most sites, this is something you're going to change in one place. If you use Show It, this will be in your footer, and then it should update all the places that footer is throughout your website. And if you use something like Kajabi or Shopify, those two specifically, this is actually automatically done for you on most templates. You can double check on yours, but on most templates, this is actually already there in that footer area and it's built into the site design. So it's not something you have to update yourself, just for reference. But if you use Show It, this is something you're going to want to update yourself. Okay, the second of 3 things to do to update your website for the new year. Update any dates on your website that have changed because of it now being a new year, or maybe the date actually changed earlier in the year last year or something, but you never updated on your website. That's fine. It's dates, information, all of that kind of stuff. So for example, you might say on your About page, I've been in business 5 years and now it's 6. And maybe it actually became 6 years, in June of last year, but you never updated it. That's fine. You're going to update it now. Or maybe on your Work With Me page, it says you've served 100 happy customers, but you haven't updated that in around a year. So it's actually more like 130 now. Or even subtle things on your About page, like maybe you mention your own age or your children's ages or how long you've been married. There are so many date opportunities on a website that we can miss if we're not checking our website often. And so at the beginning of the year is a great time to just be like, okay, I'm going to go through, look for the dates, update them all. And for me, as someone who has a really large website, years past, this has looked like me going on every single page, just clicking through each one and just looking for things that need tweaking. And that's actually much faster than you think, even with a big website. You're just skimming your own stuff, looking for spots that might need changing. So something that's going to take you longer than 5 minutes, but I could encourage you to maybe consider doing this year, that I actually did, is when I redesigned my site. So last year, redesigned the whole thing from scratch. I've done multiple podcast episodes on this that I can link to in the show notes, but I thought ahead about this issue. And so I made an area within my ClickUp where I added parts of my website that have this issue just right there with a screenshot of them. And I put due dates on things so I know when something needs updating. And this is everything from dates to just information about myself. So some of the things, it's like, this will need updating when I have a life change, or this needs updating when this date passes or this number passes or whatever. So just, I looked through mine literally as I was preparing this episode, and some things that are an example. My media page has a lot of information that's like specific numbers that needs to be updated periodically. On my quiz results pages for both of my main quizzes, there's specific numbers of me where I share how many children I have. So that changes. That's something that would need to be updated. On my Book.Designer coaching page, just wanting to make sure every year that information about what coaching is like for students is up to date. And then I have a section called Meet the Designer on my website templates, and I say the specific number of year I've been in business. So there's little things like that, but I put this all in one spot so I can find it easily. So if you wanted to spend a slightly more time on this, get out a document, get out your ClickUp or your project manager, whatever you want to do, and you could put all that information into one spot so that next year it's a list you're going through instead of skimming your whole website. Basically, you want to look for date problems, information problems that you can fix. And also, if this is something where you're like, oh my gosh, on every single page, I'm saying something that needs to be changed, you can also consider updating the way you talk about things to use years instead of dates so that you don't have to do this as much. So saying, I've been in business since 2016 instead of saying I've been in business 9 years or whatever. So kind of changing that kind of stuff can be helpful. And the final one, to really optimize your blog. This is specifically for you guys who are WordPress users or Showit users, since Showit uses WordPress for blogging. Update your plugins and delete the ones you are not using. So you really want to make sure your plugins are up to date. You can set it to like automatically update, but you also want to clear out the stuff where you're like, wait, what even is this? I don't know what that is. I don't think I'm using it, because it will slow down your website. So check to see if there are any plugins you're not actually using. You can kind of explore them, click into, look at what it is to make sure before you delete it. You can start by deactivating it. And if you're like, wait, am I using this? Deactivate it and see what happens. And then if you realize, okay, I'm really not using it, then completely delete it. So having plugins you're not using slows down your website. And if you want to know how to get to this in WordPress, in your dashboard, when you're logged in, editing your website, in that top left corner, you'll see an icon with a number and a little arrow and a circle. And that's where you click to update it, okay? And I did this myself, and I had a lot to update and a few I need to delete. And so I update and delete. It just takes a few minutes. And again, if you're not sure what's being used, just deactivate it and see if anything changes. Or if your website was designed by a designer, contact your designer, send them a screenshot, send the link to the plugin page and say like, hey, I saw this plugin. I'm not sure if I'm using it or not. I'm trying to clean up my plugins. Can you help me know if this is something that I put on here or something you put on here, and do I need to keep it? Okay, so let's recap those three things real quick. First, update the copyright in the footer of your website. Second, update those dates or information that has changed because of a new year, or maybe it already changed last year, but you just haven't updated it. And three, update your plugins and delete the ones you're not using. And again, those things just take a few minutes and they make a big difference on keeping your website fresh and clean, up to date, loading fast, all of that for the year ahead. And if you want some additional things to do that do take more time, okay, these are some things just to consider. If you're like, Elizabeth, I got through these so fast, I'm ready for more. Update your testimonials, update your portfolio work to be more relevant, more recent stuff. Maybe you haven't updated your portfolio much last year, update it now, and check that links are working properly on your website. So those are three additional things that I would recommend. Another one is to make that little area in your project management system like I did, to know things that you need to update periodically. And just to make that easier for next year. So that is it, friends. I love getting you these really short and tactical episodes, and I hope you go through your website and make these changes. And I do want to say, as you start going through your website, if you're like, hey, Elizabeth, this is great, but I don't love my website. I don't even want to work on it. I'm not feeling it right now. If you need a new website for the new year, or even just add-on pages to make your current website feel more up-leveled and more functional for where your business is now, please check out my website templates. You can find them all at elizabethmccravy.com/shop. I'll put that link in the show notes. And actually, a few months ago, or less than a month ago, even around a month ago, I launched 4 new incredible add-on templates, a favorite things page template, an affiliate marketing template, a link in bio template for Instagram, and my favorite, a timelines template that is some advanced Showit design stuff that you can add to your about page or your work with me page or whatever, to show your processes and your story. And then there's also the landing page bundle, the speaker template, and the quiz template. So those are just some add-ons to consider that can really help you up-level your website. And of course, I have full site templates as well. So that's it, friends. I hope you enjoyed this. Hope you take action on it. And I'll be back next week with another episode. Hey, thank you for listening to the podcast all the way to the end. I appreciate you being here. And if you enjoyed this episode, then I want to invite you to check out my website template shop too. Over on elizabethmccravy.com, you'll find Showit website templates that are easy to use, strategically designed, and created to help you make more money from your website. Maybe your current website is really boring, maybe it's a challenge to update, and maybe it's even the thing you feel like is holding your business back. Your website needs to be strategically and intentionally designed in order for it to convert your viewers into raving customers, and that's exactly what my templates do. These templates are designed to be SEO friendly on the back end, not just pretty, and also strategic with all the strategies I teach on the show, and they are easy for you to set up all by yourself. So shop them at elizabethmccravy.com/shop and come join thousands of happy customers using these templates. And as an added perk, you can use the code BBPodcast at checkout to get 10% off your template as a thank you for being part of the podcast fam. Again, that's BB Podcast for 10% off any template over on elizabethmccravy.com. Also, if you loved this episode, leaving a rating and review for the show on wherever you're listening or sharing it with a friend is a great way to support this podcast. Thank you again for listening, and I'll be back next week with a new episode.